Bandai just revealed two new starter decks, ST-23 and ST-25. Today we speak about two former Roger Pirates members, Shanks and Buggy. As always, if you want to check the cards yourself, you need to go to official English One Piece website and in the top right corner choose the card list and then filter for the deck of your interest. So today we will be looking at Red Shanks, ST-23, and for this deck it's a little bit underwhelming that the reprints are nothing special, so like previously we will hide the reprints for now and focus on the new cards. So in total we have 6 cards, 5 new ones and the new version of the leader, but the only difference is just the art, which is great. And Shanks really straightforward leader, simple effect, monocolor, once per turn when our opponent attacks we can give up one of our opponent's leader or character, minus 1000 power. And this is really recent. Leader OP09 release, so it's really surprising that he received the starter deck, and players were worried that if Shanks receives even more support he will be dominating the meta, but I think that's not the point with this starter deck. But let's go card by card. We start with the first super rare of the deck, and this is Uta. So we have Daughter of Shanks in the starter deck, counter 2000, so it's always good. The more playable 2k counters we have in deck, the better. 6 cost 4000 power, interesting stat line, but this is closely related to the effect. If you have a character with 10,000 power or more, give this card in your hand minus 4 cost, and on top of that, this is a blocker. So obviously, if it would be the blocker, that is 6 cost 4000 power, really inefficient, but if we manage to go into the state of the game when we drop our big boys on board, then we have a champ blocker that is 2 cost 4000 power, and on top of that this is still a 2k counter, so if you need to use her in the early game you can use her as a counter. And why it's interesting, because champ blockers right now in the game have the low cost and low power, and normally the magic number for the removal is either low power cost or low cost of the character. And here we have prevention of both, because 4000 power is not so easy to be removed, especially for the blocker. And even though we can play her for 2 cost like an other champ blocker on board, we will have a 6 cost. So 6 cost 4000 power, really smart design to prevent both types of removal. So cost reduction removal and power removal. The only caveat for this card is the type, because Uta obviously is film type character, so I am not sure if we can fit another unsearchable character into Shanks deck. I think this is more of the support for other long forgotten red decks, like for example red purple Uta, but we need to wait and see how players utilize this card. Next we have another super rare, and this time this is the man himself, Shanks. 9 cost, 10,000 power, no counter. If your opponent has a character with 8,000 base power or more, give this card in your hand minus 3 cost. On play, if your leader has the red heart pirates type or is Uta, your leader gains plus 2000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. And obviously the 4 emperors and red heart pirates type. So a lot to unpack with this card. For the Shanks, quite complex effect as opposed to the ones that we have already as boss monsters. And I think this is the card that they wanted to print to support directly the Uta that we just spoke about, because Uta needs 10,000 power on board, and then we have a Shanks. And I think this is also the response for the blue purple Luffy or any decks that ramp really fast and start playing the big characters on board, because normally the 8000 base power is later in the game. It's really late mid game or just the end game, and then we have nice combo because Shanks will be minus 3 cost, so we have 6 cost for Shanks. And if we play him the same turn, we can also follow up with a champ blocker Uta for 2 cost. So in total we are spending 8 Dawn to develop strong character, blocker Uta to protect the board or our life, and on top of that our leader, if meets the type condition, will be plus 2000 power. So in case of Shanks, leader, he will be 7000 power for a turn, which is really great, especially in combination with the leader's effect, because our opponent needs to swing either very, very high or have a lot of attacks of 7000 power, or just go with 8000 power attacks to always pressure one card from our hand, regardless of leader's effect. The only problem I have here, I'm not sure how the card, another brick counterless card, will fit into the deck. So we need to wait and see how the meta develops. We are still waiting for 2 more starter decks to be released and need to play and test how this card behaves into supposedly best deck in format that will be blue, purple, Luffy. So a lot of experimenting to be done. Nonetheless, interesting card, but I think a little bit underwhelming, and might see play actually in other decks, like already mentioned red, purple Uta in combination with his blocker daughter. And next we have the last 3 slots. What I noticed in those decks, we have 2 super rare slots and then we have 3 common slots of the new cards. Here we have Ben Beckman for cost 5000 power, 1k counter, standard stat line. On play you may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has the red-haired pirates type, KO up to 1 of your opponent's characters with 4000 power or less, and the power must be the base power. So interesting removal option, but I am not sure if we want to trash 1 card from hand to KO 4000 power base character. So I can't see this card being played too much, unless I don't see something broken with it. But yeah, removal based on the base power, not that great. So I think this is the skip. Then we have another character that I think is not printed for Shanks. So again, this deck seems like the support for all the other red decks or decks that contain the red cards. Here Monkey D. Luffy, 1 cost 2000 power, 1k counter. Activate main, you may rest 1 of your Dawn cards and this character. Give up to 1 of your opponent's characters minus 1000 power during this turn. So very interesting, I think, can be in some swarm strategies. Maybe the return of red-green low, because we care for the low cost. And what is really great about this card is that we have so many different types. It's a film character. Obviously, this is Luffy in the outfit from the Uta film. Then we have Supernova type, so it's searchable by Bonnie Search, and then we have the Straw Hat Crew, so searchable by Nami, and so on. 3 very interesting types that makes this card really flexible and really appealing for other decks, but not to Shanks in my opinion. And then the last card is Yasop. 1 cost 1000 power, 1k counter, activate main once per turn. Give up to 1 rested Dawn card to your leader or 1 of your characters. Interesting card, it's basically the Nami from the old starter deck that is attaching 1 rested Dawn. Might see some play, I'm not sure how relevant it can be in the Shanks if we have enough slots in a deck to include such card for some early pressure maybe. By being Dawn efficient, but for now I think this is more of a filler card just for the starter deck. So this is our ST-23 Shanks starter deck with all the new cards. I think the most important, obviously, 2 super rare cards that I think you want to play them together in one deck, and therefore I can't really see them fit into the Shanks deck, but I think Red Purple Uta is the biggest winner for those 2 cards. And then the remaining 3 common slots, I can't really see much appeal in Ben Beckman or Yasop, but Monkey D. Luffy might be a good inclusion for older decks like Trafalgar Law, Red Green, to have some additional search target. 1 cost is really great for this deck, and I have high hopes for resurrecting this deck with the starter deck of the Shanks cards. However, the deck itself, if you are the Shanks main, I can't really see that much value here. So consider it if you have limited budget that you might not even include any cards from here in the deck, besides maybe Shanks. And then let's take a look at the second deck revealed, the so-called rival of the Shanks, ST-25. We need to find blue Buggy. And this deck, to be honest, came out of nowhere with how powerful it looks from the reveals. We have some cool reprints here that are playable in a deck. This is important, that you can basically play the deck out of the box. And what is really great from the reprint perspective, that we have 10 cost Buggy reprint, OP09 10 cost Buggy reprint, because it's a rare slot. Really great investment for the new players, and I will explain shortly why. Because Buggy might be the best deck from all the starter decks, and even the contender for the top meta pick in Western meta OP11. But let's go one by one. So we hide the reprints and start with the leader, and you can directly see that we have 7 results. I will explain why in the moment. Very cool art for our clown, and as a reminder, Buggy is an interesting blue leader, because activate main, you may rest 5 of your turn cards and trash 1 card from your hand. So might seem like a steep cost, but you can play up to 1 crossed guild type character card from your hand, and that's it. So there is no restriction, it just needs to be cross guild. So you rest 5, trash 1 card. If you have some powerful 10 cost, you play it for 5 cost essentially, and 1 card. And until now, Buggy had a problem with the consistency, and also it was really easy to pressure the hand of the Buggy, because they need to trash a card. So you just pressure them, and they get out of the cards very easily. And it was hard for Buggy to really stick the board. And Bandai, again, with the release of the 6 starter decks, again it seems that they want to break the blue leader. They did it already with the Doflamingo back in the day. Now we have a starter for Buggy where I can see all the cards being played. Take a look. So we start with essentially a reprint, but this is also the promo card. So it's really important. It's really great that this card is printed in the starter deck, because this is Buggy answer to the aggro strategies. This character cannot attack. No problem. If your leader is Buggy, all characters with a cost of 3 or 4 cannot attack. And this is great. Any low curve deck that tries to rush you down, you play Buggy down and it's done. They need to have some alternate win condition, especially deck like Zoro. And on play, play up to 1 cross guild type character card with a cost 6 or less from your hand. So this is another great effect, because we do 2 things here. First of all, we prevent aggro strategy. Sure, the character cannot attack, but has 5 cost or more, so it's already counting for the 10 cost Buggy. And on play, we develop another character together with this Buggy, so we play 2 for a cost of 1, and we are getting closer to our win condition, the rare 10 cost Buggy that we just saw. Really great card, and I'm very happy, thank you Bandai, for printing it in the accessible starter deck. And then we have 2 new cards, and you can see Alvida. She's a common slot, but this is a lie. Like, this card by no way is a common slot. 4 cost, 5000 power, 1k counter, standard stat line in a game. And now, if you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, this character gains +1 cost. Okay, pretty normal, because for 10 cost Buggy, sure, we need to have the characters with cost 5 or more on board, so the Buggy sticks. But that's not all. On play, if your leader is Buggy, so custom made card, draw 3 cards and trash 2 from your hand, and this is just broken. Like, we know how important drawing, trashing, so in a sense washing your hands, filtering is, and you just +1 card. So effectively, even if you are trashing the cards from hand, from Buggy for the effect, Alvida brings another card that might be more useful back. I can't even say how broken the card is. It's nicely showcased in the video from One Piece English channel where they play Shanks versus Buggy, and Alvida puts a lot of work. I think this is the best card printed in the starter deck. Next we have another common for cost. What is really important here, even though they are low power, it's not much of a problem because they are 2k counters, and those type of characters are just to start spamming the board, and Cabbage is really interesting blocker, so defensive option in case your opponent wants to pressure your hand, because if you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, this character gains blocker and add +1 cost. So we have the situation where we will reach the moment when all those 4 cost characters starts getting +1 cost and fulfill the condition for the 10 cost Buggy. So this is really smart combo deck, almost like Exodia, let's say. So really interesting to see. And we also saw some examples in the mentioned video how it should be played. And on top of that, opponent's turn, this character gains +5000 power. So we have 4/6 blocker that is also fulfilling the criteria for 10 cost Buggy to stick, and 2k counter on top of that in case you want to protect something from hand. And next we have the first super rare of the deck, if we don't count Alvida, that should be at least rare in my opinion, but regardless. Crocodile and Mihawk, known duo from the manga and anime and their relation to the Cross Guild with Buggy. Great art, by the way. No counter, it costs 7000 power, and the broken on play. Draw 2 cards and rush 1 from your hand. So already pretty strong. Then play up to 1 Cross Guild type character card with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So the first effect, really important, we can play it for 5 down and rushing 1 card thanks to our leader's effect. So we are cheating out 7000 power body, but then we can target any of our 4 cost or less characters like Alvida. So in a sense, look, we have draw 2, trash 1. So we are again negating the effect of the leader. And then if we play Alvida, actually we are going +1 because draw 3, trash 2. So we are sculpting the hand to be perfect for our future plays. We get rid of the cards that we don't need, and even though we used leader's effect, we go +1 in hand. This is insane value. Like if you have Crocodile, Mihawk and Alvida in hand and you play them on curve, you are already really ahead. Go first, 5 down, use leader's effect, Crocodile, Mihawk, Alvida, and we are in the very good spot. But that's not all. You remember I said that Buggy had a problem that you could remove his characters to prevent 10 cost Buggy from using effect to its fullness, and also it's really easy to pressure the hand. But here is something interesting. Once per turn, if your cross guild type character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may trash 1 card from your hand instead. So Crocodile and Mihawk is our safety net, last line of defense to prevent our board from being cleared before we are able to stick our 10 cost Buggy. Great card, super rare. It's on the level of Alvida. I mean, those cards need to be played together. Amazing. And then we have another super rare. Already we can see 4 cost, so target for Crocodile and Mihawk. 1000 power, 1k counter, activate main. You may trash 1 card from your hand and trash this character. If your leader is Buggy, play up to 1 cross guild type character card with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. So this is really interesting because we can start doing some chaining with our effects. So first of all, this is 4 cost. So like I already said, this is already target for Crocodile and Mihawk. And even though they can play only 4 cost character, if we put Buggy in the mix, in a sense, we are cheating out the 6 cost or less from our hand. So in total, we pay just 5 for leader's effect, trash a card, play Crocodile and Mihawk, draw 2, trash 1, so we are net 0, we negate our leader's effect cost in a sense. Then we bring up this Buggy that we trash again 1 card and this character, and we can directly put into board 6 cost or less crossed guild type character from our hand. So we just cheated 8 cost and 6 cost in 1 turn for 5 dawn and 2 hand cards. And this is great because we have some really interesting targets for the 6 or less. Basically, possibilities are endless. But I think the best choice here would be the Dracul Mihawk. That is 6 cost, 7000 power. He was printed in OP09. That is a big blocker. And again, on play, you see the team, it's draw 2 cards and trash 1 from your hand. So again, even though we are trashing for the small Buggy to bring out Mihawk, Mihawk nets us a card that in a sense refunds the cost that we just paid from the small Buggy effect. Really nice combo deck if everything lines up. But moving on, we have another common that I don't know if they are really commons. I think this is just a symbol for this deck, just to fit the cards in the slots, because 4 cost, okay, 1000 power, no problem, because it's again 2k counter. And if you have 2 or more characters with a base cost of 5 or more, this character gains blocker and +1 cost. So again, we can put him somewhere in between with our Crocodile and Mihawk, then wait another character with a 5 cost, and then magically this is the 5 cost as well due to effect and gains the blocker. And what is important, and I think it was also a mistake in the video from Bandai, his effect is on KO, not on play. So on KO, if your leader is Buggy and you have 3 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card. So again, this is the safety net that if we are getting pressured on hand, this blocker ensures that we stay healthy or protect a character, and also draw 1 card to filter even more for our key targets and have our engine fulfilled. So at the end, I just want to highlight once again this card. Right now this card is disgusting. I'm really happy that it's reprinted in the starter deck, because new player can just pick up starter deck Buggy, maybe buy some singers to make it even more spicy, but they are all cheap cards, and just go to the tournament and play some fun combo deck. Because as I already explained a lot, our main target is to play him from our leader's effect as soon as possible, because then we place up one of our opponent's characters at the bottom of the owner's deck. Again, there is no cost restriction, so any boss monster your opponent plays goes to the bottom of the deck. Bye, really safe removal option, because it's not to the trash, bottom of a deck, and this is also not a KO effect. So this is really hard to dodge this kind of removal, and blue decks are just professionals for unavoidable removal options. And then if you do not have 5 characters with a cost of 5 or more, place this character at the bottom of the owner's deck. So in the past we saw some turns from Buggy players that they just played this Buggy as a removal spell because he was directly removed, but now this is no longer a case, because with so much card draw power, with so many cheap characters that play one after another, in a sense like Jimbo was playing that is now banned, we have another deck now that will just spam the board, slap the 10 cost that is also the removal, and just dominate the game from there by chaining 12,000 power removal card, which if you think about it is something crazy. So for sure, highlight for the deck just all of those cards. Like, I don't care. All the cards are perfect, are super, I have no complaints. The best deck printed. I hope they will still surprise me with Bonnie and Yamato, especially Yamato. I hope for some nice support, but this deck just broken. Just pick all of the cards, buy 2 starter decks of the Buggy. You will not regret it, especially if you are a new or beginner player on a budget. So in conclusion, starter deck Shanks, not really a starter deck for the Shanks players, so take caution with buying and investing your money into this deck. On the other hand, Buggy, just amazing starter deck for anyone especially if you like the blue color, if you like the character, or just want to be competitive straight out of the box, then pick up this deck in 2 copies for sure. But now it's your turn. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about those 2 starter decks? Maybe I missed something, maybe there are some more complex, interesting combos, or maybe Shanks deck is not so bad. Let me know and we can discuss. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.